So, hi, my name is Marion Vicenta Payr, actually. So, that is my full name. And Marion Vicenta, those two names are my Twitter handle, if you really want to tweet. Which is not necessary, because we're going to have to use Instagram tonight, today. Tomorrow, no, today. So, Lady Venom is my username, as Lisa already said. It has been my username ever since, so I started off using it on Napster and ICQ and Counter-Strike. Some of you might still know these things. I hope you don't use it anymore, it's kind of over. But I would like to know first off, who is using Instagram here? Raise your hands. Okay, wow, okay, more than I thought. So I guess I'm not following all of you, please don't blame me. If you want me to follow you, let's meet up later and let's do a follow for follow. It's one of my favorite hashtags on Instagram. I guess you know it. So, today I'm not only going to talk about Instagram, but also about chances. And I'm quite happy that this has been my topic, because there were topics like success, which I really don't believe in that much. I'm not a big seeker of success. It's not my core, or one of my core values. I think the world is too much about business and success and money. So chances is a topic I can relate to much more. And which brings me to, I believe in chances. Everyone should, by the way. What I'm going to talk about is how Instagram has made me look at chances differently, what chances it has brought me, and what I learned from that. And these sort of life lessons that I learned from Instagram I want to share with you, and I hope you can take some of them away with you today. So let's start. This is me. One of the things I learned is to not post mirror selfies on Instagram. So that's a note to myself and everyone. It's really tempting sometimes, especially in cool rooms like this. Take a mirror selfie, but please don't post it. Please keep it to yourself, or on Facebook, if it has to be. So that's what I do. Lady Venom is, as I said, my Instagram handle. So I call myself a mobile photographer. What I do is I only take pictures with my iPhone. I have not been trained in photography. I have to admit I'm not really good in taking DSLR photos. I tried once in a while, but yeah, it's getting better. That's the next step for me, to kind of evolve my photography and also use other techniques, because the iPhone is quite limiting in some ways. And what has come from my Instagram activities is that I also consult companies that want to open their own Instagram accounts or want to do Instagram campaigns. I set up campaigns with companies together, and of course I also use my website to post about campaigns, which I always make very transparent. So if I do a campaign, I will always put a sponsored post below my photos, which is something that I rarely see on Instagram and really urge people to do, because it should be clear for everyone if you post a photo that it has been paid for by a company. Otherwise it's not fair for everyone else. What I also do is I am part of Instagrammers Vienna. Does someone know that group? 1, 2, oh wow, okay, good, great. So that's kind of the community platform for Instagrammers in Vienna. What we do is we do photo walks together. We also had an exhibition, or 2 exhibitions as well. We do all sorts of events which have the goal to connect Instagrammers in the real world, so in the analog world, apart from Instagram, to learn from each other and to also go and search places and see places in Vienna that probably you haven't seen before. So it always brings a new perspective. This is like Creative Mornings, a pro bono activity, so no money involved, but a lot of fun and a lot of work as well. And this is my newest baby. I am a photographer for the male fashion blog of my dear husband, who is here today as well. Say hello to Lionheaded. Please follow him. His blog is very new. So here I'm taking photos with our DSLR. So that's like the first step for me to evolve out of the mobile photography world. Well, that's about it. That is all based on the things that I'm going to talk about today. I also have a regular job, so I work full-time in marketing, but that's another story and not part of today. But as you see, there's a lot to do, and I didn't have too much time to prepare for the talk, so I hope it's going to be good. So here are the 5 life lessons that I made on Instagram. For each one, I'm going to give you some examples so that they maybe get stuck in your head a bit. So number 1 is let chances in and say yes once in a while. So for me, that also meant stop saying no. I was really, really good in saying no. It was back 4 years ago. So I found myself in a place where I thought, okay, that's it. That's my life. I work in marketing. That's okay. I like my job. It's not too creative. It's more like organizational work or project work. I'm maybe not the very action-driven person, but that's it. That's how it's going to be. So I said no to some chances. And I also said no to Instagram first. So I saw it, other people use it. It got very professional in the USA as well. In Europe, it just started off. And people came to me, and especially my husband came to me and said, I use it, it's so much fun, you should start. And I was like, no, another social media outlet. Think back then, 3.5 years ago, so it was basically Facebook. For me at least, no Twitter. But yeah, I just had the feeling it would be too much, it would be overwhelming. But he kept insisting, so thanks again, Rafael, Lionhead. And I basically gave in at some point and I said yes, which has really brought me new perspectives about myself and has taught me a lot. And I haven't thought of that before I said yes, of course. I didn't know what it would bring me. But that is something that I learned, that sometimes you have a chance, you don't even notice what it will bring you. And if you don't say yes, you are never going to have the perspective or the chance to see what it would have brought you. So let chances in and say yes. Which brings me to step 2, which is if you love something, keep going. This is where the hard part maybe starts. Usually if you say yes, at the beginning you're super enthusiastic, everything is fun, everything is exciting, you get motivated, and then you get stuck. And then there come plateaus, there come the rocky roads, there come just things that get in your way. But the main thing is just keep going, but I think you should only do it if you really love it. So not because other people are telling you you should be going, or because people tell you you have to do that, that's the next big thing, but just because you really stand for it. And I loved it, I really did. So Instagram has brought me so much connection to other people and to the whole world, and so much creativity that I found. And this inspired me so much that I knew it was going to be worth spending my time on it. And it was a lot of time. So I really, at the beginning I posted 3 photos a day. Let's not talk about quality, it was more quantity than quality, but I did spend a lot of time there, especially on researching other people and their photography. So let me show you something. These are some of the people that I followed and that I also had been very, very lucky to meet in the last couple of years. So if you want to know their usernames, etc., please just ask me later. That's a hand-picked selection of people I really admire. And what Instagram did is it brought me to places where I could meet them. So I have been invited on Instagram trips. There are many tourism ministries or destination management companies that use Instagram as a platform for their travel marketing, which is really relevant and works very well. So I have been very fortunate to travel to places and meet up with other Instagrammers and discover these places together. What I want to show you is the rocky road, so maybe that's quite interesting. This whole thing here is the first year, so March 2011 is when I started, and March 2012 is 1 year later, and I had 600 followers. So it was not about the numbers at all, it was really about connecting with other people, having fun together, experiencing photography and new places. And then I got a chance which I really hadn't anticipated, and I also basically had worked for it that whole year without knowing, which is I got suggested. I don't know if you know the concept of suggested users on Instagram, But it's actually, if you register on Instagram, it will say, hello, it's nice that you're here, and don't you want to follow these people? So it's a hand-picked selection of a few Instagrammers, which Instagram thinks they are representative of their platform. So I was super lucky to get on that list, and I kept very lucky because I stayed on it for 2 years. And the 2 years, you see, that's the number of likes actually, so it made it grow, not constantly, but as you see, it grew to a point where it was about 100,000 likes, close to that. And then I was not suggested anymore, which was in June 2014, so this year. There was a big change. Instagram is preparing to roll out their ad platform, also to Europe at some point, which means Instagram is very interested to sell their reach. They want to have companies that pay for ads for the reach they can present. So what they don't want is companies to go to people like me and take my reach. So they are limiting the reach that users with a high following can have on Instagram. And they're using a lot of algorithms to make that reach go down, because they just have to make money at some point. They have been, I don't know if you know, but they have been bought by Facebook for $1 billion. So Facebook has invested quite some money in Instagram, and it has to pay back at some point. Well, then 4 months later, I got suggested again. Don't ask me why. It happened, but the way it is now, it is you only stay on that list for 2 weeks. So you see there's another peak at the end, and now it's going down again. It's not the same for all the users on Instagram, I also have to say. There are different concepts of follower growth. Suggested is one of them, not the best one. There's also native growth. At the beginning, there was the popular page, which is a page where pictures that get a lot of traction, a lot of engagement were represented at the beginning. And people that grew their following based on that list of photos have a very high engagement, a lot higher than I have. So I have 300,000, a bit over 300,000 followers right now. Just to put it in perspective, that's Salzburg 2 times. But don't be fooled. So numbers are not really relevant, especially from suggested user page. So if you look at my engagement, it's about 0.5%. So I have a way lower following that is really engaged with my account, that is really actively following my pictures and really also seeing what I'm posting. So I think for companies it's very important to look at the engagement and not only the number of followers. That's one of the principles that I think a lot of companies don't recognize yet. They think it's all about the big numbers, and it sounds good. So if you invite 10 Instagrammers to Israel, like I have been invited to in June, and together they have 4 million followers, I mean, that's a story you can sell to newspapers. But in the end, the real reach is a lot lower than that. But still, engagement is way higher than on Facebook, because Facebook has dramatically decreased the reach that you can have with your post, except when you pay for it. So Instagram still has a lot of opportunity for engagement. So this brings me to my third life rule. So it's commit yourself and keep on learning. So after that whole suggested user page thing happening to me, I decided that I feel obligated to the people that really decide to follow me. And I know that my pictures were not where I wanted them to be, and I saw other people posting photos that were on a level that were a lot better than myself. So I thought, okay, if I really keep on doing that, and if I want to have people really stay following me, I have to improve and I have to learn. So I want to share some of the apps that I'm using for Instagram to edit my photos. I think that's, maybe some of you know these. The names are a bit strange, but that's the name. So first off is ViscoCam. That's an app which is perfect for editing pictures. So you can edit saturation, contrast, you can have some filters, you can even adapt how much of the filter you want to put on it on a scale from 1 to 10. You can you can do a lot of things with it. I can show you later. As Lisa said, we're going to have a little tour through the gallery, and if someone wants to post a photo and has some questions, we can look at the app and just see what it can do. Secondly is called Screw It. It's basically what Screw It does is it straightens your pictures. Smartphone photography often has the issues of lens distortion. So at the corners of the picture, it starts to be crunched in all sorts of directions it shouldn't be. And with Screw It, you can get it straight again, which is super simple, very, very handy to use. Third, Snapseed is also an editing app. What you can do with this one, and what I use the most, is a selective adjustment. So you can change contrast and saturation for selective areas of the photos. So with smartphone, you always also have the issues, if there's a light background, then the foreground is going to be very dark. So you can only make the foreground lighter, for example, or the background darker, things like that. And super simple with the touch of a finger, more or less. Fourth app I want to recommend is Retouch. So it's not only for getting rid of wrinkles or pimples or whatever, but also if you take photos, for example, of a room like this, and then you have these super annoying exit signs or power outlets, you can retouch them also at the click of a finger, so also very simple. So, which means basically the photos I post are not always 100% reality. Disclaimer. And the last app is called Cortex Cam. That's not an app for editing, that's actually an app to take photos with. The native camera of the iPhone has issues with low light situations, and Cortex Cam has a software algorithm that helps you take photos in low light situations, even without a tripod. So you can even shoot from the hand inside a darker room or when there's less light. I even use it outside on the streets now because it also has a higher resolution. So this one is also very helpful. I think it's best if I show you an example. So here is a picture I took, I think not even with Cortex Cam, just with the iPhone. So that's the before. Here it is after Visco. So you also see the difference in the colors, in the contrasts. It's always a matter of taste. I think it's more beautiful like this, and it's also more realistic. These tiles were very mint colored, and in the first pictures it was too yellowish for my taste. So this is after Visco. And then if you look at the lines of the tiles in the right corner, they are not really straight. So what I did is I put it through Screw It. Do you see the difference? It's very subtle. There are pictures where you can use it for also bigger distortions, but in this case it just helped the lines to be more straight. And the last step is just an example. I didn't post it like this, but this is Retouch. As you see, it's not perfect. The lines of the tiles are not really good, but you can get away like little details. As for example, in this picture, I would have maybe retouched this little thing up there, this here, because I think it's just distracting from the overall picture. And this is a click of a finger in Retouch. Okay. So back to the life lessons. Fourth one is keep your eyes open for new chances. This is what usually happens. You are on this road and it makes fun and you maybe improve yourself and learn, but you stop looking for other things to discover and other chances. And you should keep your eyes open, because what I did is I worked on Instagram, I put in a lot of effort, but I didn't even know that people were making a living off of it. So in the United States, people live from their Instagram accounts. They are like professional bloggers. They don't do anything anymore. They just post campaigns on Instagram. Of course, they also do consulting and side projects as well, but people really don't do anything else anymore. So, and I had no clue. I just used it for the fun of it. And what happened is I got another chance, which I also hadn't anticipated. There was a company asking me if I wanted to take part in an international campaign. And I got to shoot a car, and I was super thrilled. I was like, okay. I would have made photos anyways. I would have posted them anyways, so I'm making money with it, even better. And I had no clue what I was getting into. So it was for Smart, and they asked me to shoot a Christmas campaign. And they said, like, we're going to give you a car for a weekend, and you're going to shoot a story about Christmas. And they wanted a concept first off, and the concept went back and forth. So it was really a lot of preparation work as well. And what I noticed after I posted the whole campaign is that all the other participants were shooting with a DSLR and were professional photographers. They had all the light equipment and everything. So I shot it with the iPhone. Let me show you a result. This is one of the photos. It was very obvious Christmas. Smart wanted it to be very Christmassy, so I bought all these balloons, and we rented a helium bottle which was this tall, and we put it in the Smart. And because I wanted to tell a story about how calm the city gets around Christmas, I decided to get the electronic version of the Smart. And once we got it, we really didn't think that it had to be plugged in overnight. So we don't have a garage. We live in an apartment in Vienna. So I registered for Wien Energie. They have this power outlet thingies around Vienna. So we drove to one of these power outlets and we noticed that there are different kinds of cables and outlets, so it didn't fit the car. It took us 3 or 4 attempts, I think, until we found the parking spot where we could also load the car. So it was very professional, as you can see. And we also did this one. A lot of kissing was involved for this one. I didn't have a remote control for the iPhone, so the iPhone was actually glued with tape to a tripod, because also I didn't have the mount for the tripod. And I was jumping out of the car, pressing the shutter button, jumping back into the car, kissing, photo was taken. And we did that, I think, 20 or 30 times until the photo was about right. So, yeah, I did something which I had no clue what I was doing, and it sort of worked out. In the end, I think compared to what the other people posted, my photos really sucked, because, as I said, the other ones used DSLRs and had really great equipment, and the photos were also used on the website, and the iPhone photos really didn't look good. So please don't Google this whole campaign. Yeah, but in the end, it gave me a kick in the butt, and I noticed, okay, I can work with companies, I can translate this maybe into another job for me, and a job that excited me a lot more than what I was doing back at that time. So what I said is keep your eyes open for new chances. And here are 5 tips that I want to give you. I don't know how many people of you work for brands as well or for companies, but here are some tips for brands to be ready for Instagram, because that's a big topic right now. Companies try to go on Instagram and don't really know how to use it. So I'm giving you some advice. So first is think target group and not product. That's a classic. I have a really good example of a person. She came to me. She worked for sort of a kids' playground, and she said, well, I cannot take photos of the slide all day, and also I cannot take pictures of the kids because it's not my kids. And I said, well, then let's expand the view. Let's not think about posting just the kids' playground all the time. Who is your target group? It's mothers, it's fathers, it's people that have kids. So what are these people interested in? And then you suddenly get a whole range of ideas and topics that you can talk about on Instagram. So it's simple as that. You don't always have to post your product, you have to tell a story. Which brings me to the next one. Develop a content strategy and tell stories. This is such a classic, and I think it's in every marketing talk, and you will always hear it, but don't just start a new channel without knowing what you want to do on there. Think about what are you going to tell make a plan for a year to start with. What are you going to tell your target group? Is there specific moments in the year where you can have a good story to tell? How can you evolve that story? How can you make it relate to the people more? So you have to really put a little effort in it, because otherwise if you just start, you will post free product pictures and possibly to behind the scenes, and this is our office pictures, and then it's sort of over. Thirdly, start to pay attention to your numbers. So what I said is for personal accounts, it's not that important. You should really just focus on the photography. But for professional accounts, of course, you have to pay attention to the numbers. I use Iconosquare. There are a lot more professional tools. Iconosquare is sort of the beginner tool because it's for free. You can really get some insight into when your posting is more relevant, when your target group is engaging more, etc., which hashtags work. So it's a good start. Just use it right away and you will really learn fast. Then work with influencers to create native advertising. This is sort of what I did for Smart. So companies should really embrace the community that is already on the platform, because companies usually they have their agency helping them, or a person in the company that is responsible for social media, and not everyone has used Instagram in private or has really actively used it. So if you work together with influencers, those people know how to use it. They do it every day, they do it for years, so they can really give you the gist of it. They can give you little details as to what makes sense, how should I write the caption, which hashtags should I use, how many hashtags should I use? There are so many things to sort of think about. And native advertising is, if you make a campaign, please don't only post it on your Instagram account. Brands usually, when they start, they have, I don't know, 50, 100, 200 followers. They're never going to get traction off of their campaign. And then at the end, they're disappointed. So what you should do is get a group of influencers that fit the profile of your company and the strategy that you have with your campaign, and get them to tell a story that fits to the campaign and that sort of spreads the word on the platform in a community that they already have. And last but not least, stay truthful and humble and be likable. Very basic advice. I don't think I have to describe it any further, but that's important too. And sort of the basics are also to be authentic and then to learn about photography. That's something that companies also don't see. They think they can, if they just tell a story, that will suffice, but it should be also, people should have the feeling that this company really pays attention to the channel and that they take it seriously. And people that are on there like photography, so they like pictures. So you also have to learn how to take good and beautiful and exciting and compelling content, which is photography on Instagram. And interact with people, which is also a classic. So you cannot just launch your Instagram handle and not interact with the community. So let me show you a good example. Maybe some of you already have seen that. It's a campaign from last year from Mercedes-Benz USA called CLA Take the Wheel. It was one of the best campaigns of the last year. It's 5 influencers that got the car for a week and made a story where they made a tour through the United States. And the whole concept behind it was to get the influencer who gets the most likes or the most engagement on his pictures gets to keep the car, which is quite nice. So Chris Ozer, he won. As I don't think you can read it. He got 478,000 likes on his pictures, which is quite a number. And how did they involve the community? One person of the community could also win the car. So they spread the hashtag through the influencers, and everyone that posted content on that hashtag could also win the car. So at the end, the girl to the right, I think, what was her name, Nicoletta? Yeah, Nicoletta, she won the car as well. This campaign was huge. It got them a lot of earned media as well. So it spread through all the news channels and everywhere because it was so exciting and thrilling. And also the content looked really beautiful because they used this really, really talented photographers. And now a bad example. A duck face selfie contest, in itself awful. And then the prize was 10 stuffed animals. And the result was these 6 entries, and one of them is the campaign announcement. Yeah, we sort of made it anonymously, so we don't know who these people are, but that's how you don't do it. Don't take a topic that is just, it's not exciting at all. Duck face selfies are just not exciting. Don't only post it on your own account, so that's what the company did. They only did one posting on their account with, I think, 150 followers. Of course, no one is going to see it. And then the price is a joke. Stuffed animals, I mean, sorry. It's not even their target group. They are not even targeting kids, so it makes it even worse. Yeah, so this brings me to the fun part, the last bit of my talk. This is the Instagrammers Vienna crew. I just wanted to show you that we have fun, although we work a lot. And I also wanted to show you this little girl up on top here. She's on Instagram too. So there are dogs on Instagram. There are dogs that also make their owners live off of their profiles, just if you didn't know yet. Miuda is sort of the superstar in Austria, so she gets noticed. If Anna goes shopping with her, then people will stop and say, oh, that's Miuda. So she's more famous than her owner. And this brings me to the last life lesson. So the most important chances in life are not about success and are not about money, but they are about the people you meet. They are about the fun you have together, how much you evolve personally. It's just about sharing. It's about making other people happy as well. So say yes to chances.